Peace, everybody. So I am exhausted after a long day today. I was going to go live tonight, but I decided to just do my updates pre-recorded before I hit the sack and get ready for another day tomorrow. Another long day, no doubt. So court started today late. And the reason why court was delayed and late today was because Eligio was considering his plea deals, his plea offers, which were on the table. The prosecution presented the offers. They confirmed the amount of time each sentence carried, the weight of that sentence, and the judge initially gave him and his lawyer time to consider it. There was also a rumor that he refused to come out of his cell with the leg shackles on, which was the initial delay because court honestly didn't start until like 10:30-ish, a little bit after that. And typically it should have started at 9. I mean, just imagine all of those jurors were sequestered and probably were ordered to be at the courthouse by like 8:30, maybe 9. But yeah, there were some delays this morning. He was considering the plea deals. He needed clarification on some of the counts and what those what the sentences consisted of lengthwise. Forgive my lisp, y'all. I have my aligners in, and I'm so tired and lazy right now. I didn't even bother to take them out before I started talking. So forgive that. Forgive me. It's been a long, long day. But yeah, so the judge gave Eligio two separate occasions to consider the plea offer. My first thought is, I understand, his life is on the line, but why even consider the plea deals if you claim to be so innocent of the charges against you? In any case, the judge was a little frustrated. We were set to begin trial, and then he wanted to weigh his options again, and so they sent him and the lawyer back to discuss and talk about it. I knew he wasn't going to take the plea deal, and so I wasn't surprised when they came back and trial was underway. However, before trial began, all of the wives were in the court today. They came a little bit after 9. Aya, Malia, and Efru, they were all wearing face masks in their typical coat garb. I will say, Aya was wearing a pair of jeans. I just kind of glanced over, and she is so thin. She is so skinny. I'm not sure if they were eating. I also noticed at one point, Efru was kind of dozing off. So I don't know if they have been eating and sleeping properly because of the buildup of the court proceedings. Juju and Jax were also in the house. They had another supporter there, and a few more, 2 or 3 more that were seated on the defense's side of the gallery. On the state side was a ton of media, as well as Lisa Says What, Medea, myself, and our friend. We'll call her our I forgot the name that we gave her today, but let's just say she's a very cool and amazing person, and I'm glad that she was there supporting Lisa and Medea and myself as well. So shout out to you, and shout out to both of you ladies as well. Obviously, if you are a witness before and you haven't given your testimony yet, you cannot observe the court proceedings. And so at some point, there was an acknowledgement that all of Eligio's defense witnesses were sitting in the gallery, except for Zoka, and then another woman, Eva. You know what, I'm going to take it back really quick because I don't think I listed off what the plea offer was. So the plea offer was reducing the rape charge to aggravated assault. No contact with the victim, cannot profit from the story, and he would be banished from Georgia, except for Clayton County, which is where the airport is located. So it was like if you need a layover or a stop, one-stop shop, and then you got to get back out of Dodge. 20 years. And he would have to register as a sex offender, which he was very offended by that. So he did consider the plea offer twice in the span of that morning. And I do know that his supporters were, including the wives, were in the courtroom initially, and they were all dismayed when, they thought that he was even considering it. And he went back and talked to his lawyer and then came back out. When he initially came out, he came out mean mugging, looking around and looking at his supporters. He looked like he got a little bit of energy boost from them being back there. But, they were then later on subsequently removed from the courtroom. He declined the plea offer. By the way, the makeup of the jury is interesting. We have 7 black women, 3 black men, 2 white women, and 2 white men as jury members, just so that you guys know. There was also some motions. There was his lawyer motion for a mistrial when Janae gave testimony and the state was asking her about acts of abuse that she witnessed against Malia in particular. And she began to tell the story of seeing Malia whooped or beaten with a leather belt between 50 and 100 lashes. It was a lot of lashes. Zoka was whooped as well within that same time frame. But the defense, Booker, he motioned for a mistrial because he felt that was evidence that was additional acts that weren't included in the initial additional acts motion that was granted for the state. However, there was mention of battery and assault, and so ultimately it was the testimony was allowed, and so the jury had to be sequestered and then brought back in. And it's kind of interesting because every time the jury enters the courtroom, everyone has to rise. And I'm sure that it was really hard for the Messiah to be sitting over there watching the jury members get treated like kings and queens instead of him. Outside of that, testimony was pretty emotional, I think, for Janae when the state was questioning her. And it was pretty, the word escapes me right now, but when the defense was questioning her, obviously he is defending his client. He is asking the tough, hard questions, and you had to be in that courtroom to see it go down and to see the jury. I was able to just kind of look at the reactions of some of the jury members sitting towards the closest to the gallery, 2 men in particular, and I couldn't tell if their expressions were for or against the defense and the way Booker was questioning the witness, Janae, but they seemed to be, older gents, maybe in their 50s, maybe 60s, 1 white man, 1 black man. And I was just wondering to myself, I wonder if they have daughters. I wonder if they're just over it by now already. But that's neither here nor there. I feel that she gave honest testimony to her actions and her thoughts that were kind of all over the place at that time. I think she was in survival mode and trying to self-preserve in those moments, not wanting to get jumped and not wanting to upset the king and leave on bad terms. And so I'm hoping that when Rick Ross testifies about cults and cult leaders and all of the methods and techniques they use to manipulate their members, even if the members are inside or outside of the direct physicality of the cult, it's still impacting them, and emotionally, psychologically, and in the case of carbonation, spiritually, which is, it's very deep. So I'm sure by now most of you were able to listen to her testimony. They weren't showing faces, but I think it was emotional for her. She did cry at certain points, and having to admit to some things that were witnessing the abuse, and the one instance where Malia ran away and the girls were ordered to go get her and bring her back. So I think a lot of the some of the opposition or contention about Janae's actions by people who don't support her, or that you were coming and going and you came and you went. But I feel that it's really important to remember that she was recruited. Like, I know he says they don't recruit people, but clearly she was being recruited by Courtney, by Efferu. And this was pretty common, as most of us saw throughout the course of this documentation of carbonation. So that testimony was, it was tough. She had a tough day, very draining, but I hope liberating in her mind. No matter what happens, no matter the outcome, it's something that she can say, I told my truth. And years from now, look back on the situation as a healed woman, as a healed person, as a spiritually fulfilled individual, and say, whoa, I went through that and I survived it, ultimately. I know Eligio has a support out there, and there are people who don't believe her, which is fine. But I feel that there's definitely a need for education, especially amongst women and men as well, as far as what truly constitutes sexual abuse and sexual assault when you are not, you're not left bruised and battered physically, outwardly, but inwardly you're a mess. I'm hoping that people are able to be educated better when it comes to stuff like this. I know I've read a comment here or there, oh, she wasn't this and she wasn't that. And it's like, if a person says no the first time, let that no be no. If you're pressuring someone to have sex, you're the problem. Even if you can finally get them to submit to you, or if they give in, you still sexually abuse them. I don't care if it's your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend. Girls probably do it too. But no means no. And that is not a statement that is strictly resigned to non-couples, because that definitely applies to couples as well. Not getting too much further into the testimony, but I will say the interview that she did with me definitely came to the surface. And I was a little surprised and taken aback a bit to hear my name brought up in court by both the defense and the prosecution. But I'm not, it is what it is. It happened, and now we're here. What else? Some other interesting events of the day. I think the testimony of the officer, the first officer that she made contact with, I'm wasn't surprised to find out that he's been on the force for 3 years. So at the time of that report, he'd only had 1 year in. And he seemed like a rookie to me, because I don't feel in any way, shape, or form that he did his due diligence and really kind of probing a little bit deeper, and maybe asking more questions that were relevant to the things that she was saying, instead of saying, well, you shouldn't join cults. Well, yeah, nobody should. But if someone happens to do so, how do we support them? What resources are available to them? Outside of that, there was a recess in between Janae giving her testimony. The judge actually stopped the trial abruptly at one point. I'm not exactly sure what prompted that. I've had a long day, guys, so please forgive me. I'm probably going to recap all of this again at some point when I'm well rested and able to kind of really put my thoughts into perspective and gather them. For one, I need to gather them, mofos. But outside of that, after testimony was over, we filed out of the courtroom and head towards the elevator and turn around, and lo and behold, we see 2 former members standing in the hallway. It was Kendra and Aaron, and they looked like they were ready to go. And we also saw Janae. She was heading to the bathroom and kind of running down the hall a little bit. She really had to go, but it was the first time meeting her in person, so that was a really nice surprise and unexpected. In fact, Aaron, Kendra, and Janae all in one place, as well as the other 3 ladies I was with, Lisa and Medea, and there were hugs all around and just showing a lot of love and support to the ex-members for what they are undertaking in this trial. So that was wonderful. It was great to finally meet everyone in person and to put a face to a name in the flesh, if you know what I mean. They were with the guard security, because the witnesses are being guarded to and from the courthouse every day. And that takes me back to, I was standing outside the courthouse this morning before going in, and all of a sudden I turn around. I mean, there's really no one really on the mall area, and I see like about 5 or 6 guards and Michael Coveney and Tori walking into the courthouse surrounded by guards, and I was like, wow. So that was interesting and kind of exciting a little bit, because they were like marching right through. They were like a train coming through, and they were laser focused. So that was interesting day overall. I know this is short, but I gotta get myself prepared for tomorrow's deliberations. Well, not really deliberations, but proceedings. And thank you guys for listening to my all over the place recap. I do want to leave you with one thing. There was a ex-cult member's mother that was in the courtroom as well. I was surprised to know that it was her. I don't know if any other content creators revealed who she is, but I won't, because I believe she wanted to kind of remain incognito. So, but it was nice to see that even though the ex-members have left, there are family members that do want to see justice served. And that was a beautiful sight to see her there. Peace and love, everybody. I'll try to give you guys another recap Friday night. And I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are in the world. I'm peacing out.